What's up, everybody? Wednesday, July 28th, 2022, and this is from Sportstalk 397. Today, the NFL concludes with a list I titled The Deep Passers Game. Also, we have MLB All-Star festivities to talk about, including last night's game, which was a good one, the 92nd MLB All-Star game. But first, we're going to start with some news. NASCAR makes history. In 2023, we will have the very first in-city race. Ben Kennedy, grandson of NASCAR founder Bill France, took thinking outside the box to another level here, saying that we need to be more innovative about the new concepts and venues that they plan to use in the future. And shit, what way to start that? In-city race now. There's a racing game, I believe, and maybe it was a little after the Nintendo 64. And I think I saw racing inside the city in there, but that's like the first thing that comes to mind. And then, of all places, Chicago to do it, it's going to be wild. The Golden State Warriors' Andrew Wiggins says he regrets getting the COVID-19 vaccine, even with the success of the season and his All-Star game appearance. He says, I still wish I didn't get it, to be honest with you. At least you did what you're supposed to do for your company, for your bread, whatever, however you're looking at it this way. But vaccines are what keeps us safe from COVID and all these other new diseases that are starting to pile up. Anyway, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred is adamant that there has been real strides made in the past few years in paying the minor leaguers exactly what they deserve. Real strides, and a deal has still not been reached. And shoot, I've been alive for 4 CBAs, I believe. Four CBAs now. Clark Lee says I'm freaking determined to make the Vanderbilt Commodores the best football program in the nation. Now, yeah, go ahead. Just calm down after all that laughter. Last year they went 2-10, and in my research, that made it 8 consecutive seasons that they finished below 500. Yeah, next. NBA draft prospect City Kasico signs with the G League Ignite program. And that's good, because a lot of the guys that I've noticed coming out of the G League usually have great second years. They're all right with the first year, which is kind of expected, but that second year jump that they take is really something. Anyway, MLB Commissioner again says that the Oakland A's need to quickly reach a binding agreement if they want a new stadium. The Tampa Bay Rays haven't settled on a location yet. They were the other team that was in the discussion for one. They'd rather see it on the Tampa side of the Bay rather than in St. Petersburg. Why? Because that's what's that, a whole freaking 3 miles? Like, crazy. Anyway, that's it for the news. MLB All-Star Game number 92. The American League won 3-2. And the MLB returns Thursday morning for the second half of the season. Trade deadline coming up. So guys like the Washington Nationals, Juan Soto, maybe potentially Shohei Ohtani, and those 2 guys from the Reds. Sorry, 1 second. Let's get this right. Luis Castillo and Tyler Molly, whatever. Anyway, those are the 2 for that team who could be dealt, like I said, within the next week. And it's going to be something to see what happens. It's rumored to say that this is going to be the biggest amount of deals that the Major League Baseball has seen in some time. If you remember last year, the Cubs basically traded everybody. Anthony Rizzo went on to the Yankees and fucking smashed a home run the other night. Was looking kind of suspect on camera, but anyway, WNBA time: CT over New York 82-63, and Los Angeles over Indy 86-79. Atlanta beats Las Vegas in 92-76, and that was no bullshit. Number 1 overall pick Ryan Howard shines, hitting 6 trays and finishing with 24 points. Tiffany Hayes had a season high 31 points, including 2 deep 3-pointers to start the second half. Really happy to see Tiff back at it. Knee surgery, and her rehab was extended through a couple of setbacks. But to see her come back and not only the first time, the second time she busted out with a 30-point performance, and she was magic from behind the arc. You can't fucking beat that. Anyway, on to NFL ranked deep passers. Now that summer is truly upon us, as the special day, July 25th, gets closer and closer, today concludes NFL Rocks. Well, when I was accessing the multiple resources to do this project, I was so cold in terms of finding the solution, like not close miles away. And then one day it hit me while enjoying nacho fries from Taco Bell. It's called the passing score. It's a very difficult but firmly grounded metric that takes into account the advanced statistic with the capability of isolating passes based on a type of specific evaluation. Here we are digging in the deep pass attempts, 20 or more yards through the air, to determine who was the best at the deep ball in 2021. 2 measurements I have used for this exercise are as follows. X-comp, or expected completion percentage, which is a quarterback's average completion probability, which represents the aggregate level of difficulty of set pass attempts. CPOE, completion percentage above expectation, is the difference between a quarterback's actual completion percentage and expected completion percentage, controlling for the level of difficulty with each individual pass. And as I dug into these numbers, I realized just how incredible quarterbacks were, not only in 2021 but in 2020. I set the minimum passer rating for this exercise to 100 after the 2020 season to truly separate the best from the rest. And in attempting to follow the same methodology this time around, there weren't even 10 qualifiers. 8 quarterbacks broke a passer rating of 100 on deep throws in 2021, minimum of 15 attempts. So I dropped the minimum rating requirement to 90, kind of like made it fair, even the playing field, and ended up with some very interesting candidates. Again, please, if you have problems with this list, leave it in the comment section, and I will get you the information and the steps with the formula that I used to make my decisions on these players. So, last year, the biggest surprises from the list included the absence of Patrick Mahomes, who didn't make the top 10 by virtue of throwing to teammates who consistently got open more than most other pass catchers, and Daniel Jones' placement atop this list. Calm down. This time around, some eyebrows might be raised by the inclusion of Carson Wentz after what was ultimately a very disappointing season with Indy, and yet he's traded again. And it's also worth noting that 2021 third-round pick Davis Mills fell just short of the top 10. As we always do for the series, we're leaning on numbers gathered from specific scenarios to frame the rankings. And once again, things might not line up exactly as you would predict. It's the formula. Use the formula. Notable guys who just missed the cut but still had great seasons. Joe Burrow, quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, who brought them to the Super Bowl. Kirk Cousins of the Minnesota Vikings. No comment. Davis Mills, Houston, Texas. Tom Brady of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Say nothing about the road. So number 10 is Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay. Deep attempts, he was 24 of 63 for 873 yards and a 6-3 touchdown to interception ratio with a 97.8 passer rating. Completion percentage on the first metric, 38.1. On the X completion, 30.8. A CPOE of plus 7.3%, and the passing score on deep attempts was 91. And in my words, one prominent detail from Rodgers' deep passing resume that won't shock you. He racked up 93.8% of his deep passing yards from inside the tackle box, meaning he relied on our decent offensive line that allowed him extra time to make plays. The rest of Rodgers' statistical breakdown is simple, if not discouraging. As Green Bay's greatest threat, Rodgers has rarely capitalized on play action, which is something that pissed me off too last year, finishing with the 8th fewest deep passing yards via play action among qualified starters while tossing just one touchdown pass on 10 attempts. He struggled mightily on deep passes thrown under pressure, posting a passer rating of just 56.6. So pretty much when motherfuckers were in his face, it was incomplete. Rodgers lands at number 10 because the Packers just weren't all that explosive downfield. But that's fine. Rodgers still won the second straight NFL MVP. And yes, this man is incredible, even if our offense wasn't optimally balanced when it came to opening up home run opportunities for AR-12. Number 9, Derek Carr, the quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. Deep attempts. He was 26 of 67 for 934 yards and a touchdown to pick ratio of 7.5 with a 90.2 passer rating. Completion percentage on this specific exercise, 38.8%. X-completion is 32.6. CPOE of plus 6.2% and a passing score on deep attempts of 92. Hopefully we've reached the end of the unrelenting multi-year slog marked by people consistently questioning this man's viability as the Raiders franchise quarterback. Leave him the fuck alone. Derek Carr is a quality signal caller. Got it? And if you don't believe me, listen. An unprecedented adversity threatened to sink the Raiders in 2021. Derek Carr put together one of his most impressive seasons, leading the franchise to its first playoff berth in 5 years. He did so while permanently losing his top deep threat after Week 7, and yet he still made the list. Darren Waller was inconsistent as well. In the face of persistent hardship, Carr stood tall in the pocket, racking up 806 deep passing yards from inside the tackle box. Against the blitz, Carr completed 50% of his deep pass attempts for the most deep passing yards, 420. On such attempts in the NFL, he was one of just 6 qualified quarterbacks that I found that posted a completion percentage of 50 or better on such attempts and tied for most touchdowns before. His CPOE of 15.8 in this area was the 5th highest in the league. Number 8, Russell Wilson. One thing I want to say about Derek Carr really quickly. I think the addition of Devontae Adams, I'm still feeling kind of salty about it because I'm a Packers fan. But I think that the rapport they had in college and then everything will start to click towards the second half of the season. The AFC West is going to be a wild fucking division that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are going to win. I believe I had the Raiders third in the division this year. I think they're going to take a step back. Number 8, Russell Wilson, quarterback for Denver Broncos currently, but he was with Seattle in 2021. This is another guy who's maybe, I think Denver's good enough for a wild card. They didn't really change defensively, and they didn't need to because the system was kind of sort of in line with what Vic Fangio had on going down there. Anyway, Russell Wilson on deep attempts was 26 of 71 for 978 yards and 9-2 touchdown to interception ratio in a passer rating of 112.5. Completion percentage for this exercise 36.6% with the X completion percentage at 32.1, CPOE of plus 4.5, and a passing score on deep attempts of 92, just like the number 9 guy on this list. When I was initially compiling these rankings and had all these guys on different pieces of paper, Wilson landed as the highest as 6th, mainly because of that 9-2 touchdown to pick interception ratio on those deep passes, almost 1,000 yards, and that went for 3rd most in the NFL. Maybe that was something that was eye-popping. And after diving even deeper into the details, well, I can see why I had him there. Wilson spent the 2021 offseason complaining about being hit too much, and Seattle did nothing for him as far as offensive line goes. Free agency, draft, they really didn't do shit. Dwayne Brown, come on now. essentially begging for better protection. Then he went out and posted an 8.1 touchdown to pick ratio and a rating of 115.3. Deep throws thrown from inside the tackle with a lackluster offensive line. He still got sacked a lot. Don't get me wrong. They weren't perfect, but Russell was Russell. The touchdown total was the second highest in the league, and as was the passer rating. Not bad. Especially considering the false narrative that Wilson was constantly peeking over his shoulder for free rushers that were getting ready to freaking destroy him. The O-line was bad, but not that bad. Russ still used his mobility to extend plays, completing 41.7% of the passes for 403 yards and a plus 14.1 CPOE on extended dropbacks, 4 seconds or more. Tyler Lockett's presence also continued to help Wilson, who completed 60% of deep passes to slot targets, like Tyler Lockett, tying for the second most touchdowns and the second highest passer rating on such attempts within that category, while also finishing third in yards, CPOE, and pass EPA. He took care of the football. Wilson's passing score dropped in a couple of spots, but it was still a very strong showing for a quarterback trying his hardest to lift a struggling team out of the NFC West, the basement. With a new chapter awaiting him in Denver, the rest of the AFC West should be worried. But again, this is Patrick Mahomes' division, and they are going to win this year, at least in my eyes, at least now. A lot of people are saying that they haven't lost a step, even though Tyreek Hill has been traded to Miami Dolphins. That remains to be seen. Carson Wentz, number 7, quarterback for Washington, but he was with Indy in 2021. This dude shouldn't be on anyone's list anywhere, I know. Deep passes, he was 23 of 53 for 797, 7-3 touchdown to pick ratio with 106.3 passer rating. I can already see how the angles in which I'm going to have to defend this guy. Completion percentage for the exercise, 43.4. The X comp was 33.3%. The CPOA was 10.1, and the passing score on deep attempts was 93. What do I have to say about him? I understand that this might make you question my credibility when it comes to football, and the next-gen stats aren't the canon. But they are akin to a specific theory. And since we're specifically digging into deep passes, I can't allow Wentz's struggles elsewhere to cloud my judgment. It's not going to happen. I won't stand for it all. Even if it doesn't fit the conventional wisdom of the former number 2 overall pick. For example, that game against the Rams. Oh my God. This dude has no concern for his body, fucking up both the ankles, and still trying to stay on the field, come out there and complete the pass. And that was Aaron Donald. The way he wrapped him up, like it was just so quick. And this guy's a fucking beast. Still trying to stay out there. Anyway, shred me if you must, yeah. But before those Twitter fingers of yours start melting the keyboard, let's reflect on who Wentz had in his backfield. Yes, this is correct. The answer is all-world running back Jonathan Taylor, whom I argue with just about everybody in his comparative season last year to Derrick Henry's. I think Derrick Henry had a better year. He put up more yards and still had over 1,000 even with that injury, and came back in the playoffs and shined. The Colts choked. Anyway, they're drawing defenses closer to the line of scrimmage to stop Taylor and victimizing them with the play action passes, because, oh my God, Carson got sacked. Oh, some bad ones last year. But that's what happens when you want to give the guy the ball, running back, like 30, 40 times a game. Eventually, people are going to start to pick up on what you got going on. From under center, though, the setting in which most handoffs occur, Wentz ranked near the top of the league in the following deep pass metrics: yards, touchdowns, passer rating, completion percentage, and completion percentage over expected. His play-action passer rating on deep throws was the 7th highest in the NFL, and he posted the highest EPA and 2nd highest completion percentage and CPOE on these throws. So he started slow with the play-action, but that was ultimately his bread and butter last year. He wasn't an all-around stud in 2021. Just, ask Colts owner Jim Irsay, his descriptive nature of him. But because Indy had a frightening stallion in the backfield, Wentz found opportunities to succeed, kind of take the heat off him, and he capitalized on it. I can't argue with this production, even though it didn't really amount to anything wins, losses wise. Even if the rest of the picture was the farthest thing from perfect. Number 6, Patrick Mahomes, quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. Team attempts, he was 27 of 66, 916 yards, 7-2 touchdown pick ratio, 111 passer rating, even flats. For this exercise, 40.9% completions. The X-comp was 36.7, CPOE was 4.2, plus 4.2. And the passing score on deep attempts was 93. 2022, and by this point we know Mahomes creates his success by the deep throws first off, and everything that comes after that unscripted. By getting out and running before launching beautiful strikes, no-look passes, whatever. He picked up more than a third on his deep yards and firing passes from outside the tackle box. He was really, really on his feet this year, and he wasn't afraid to do so. Quite often, these were designed as well, and finishing with the 3rd most deep attempts from outside the box. His 262 deep passing yards on scrambles led the NFL in 2021, and he feasted on cover-2 defenses, which most quarterbacks who kind of got the arms and legs do. He wasn't afraid to do so. The 3rd most deep attempts came when that cover 2 came out. He also posted a 133 passer rating on deep passes down the seams, in picking up 661 deep passing yards against 2 high safety shells. First, I don't even know why you play 2 against him if he has all those weapons. Even if he throws something underneath, like, why would you let Kelsey shred you for like 25, 30 yards? Or why would you let Michael Hardman come with a little slant, like something little, and then that's how they do it. Boom, boom, boom. And you see, as other guys are starting to come into the fold of the preseason, you start to see that they didn't miss a beat at all. And I don't understand why. First of all, why Tyreek's talking about Tua is the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. I won't even say nothing about that. Anyway. He struggled against the blitz, though. If there was one thing I could say about Pat's game, posted a 60.9 deep passer rating on such attempts. Mahomes is far from alone in this regard, though, but it does reveal weakness for teams that, if they want to potentially exploit it. Most recently, I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did in that Super Bowl, because literally every single play, there was nothing Patrick Mahomes could do, and he was just, the look he had in his eyes was really like, is someone going to help me? All game, and Tampa Bay didn't let up at all. If they have a secondary strong enough to cover downfield with fewer defenders available to eliminate passing windows as well, that's kind of something that's going to box him in also. You'll have to find a way to replicate his downfield success without Tyreek Hill, but Kansas City has thrown plenty of resources at attempting to make up for Hill's production. Don't worry, Chiefs fans. Mahomes still has Travis Kelce, as I had alluded to earlier, available to cause headaches down the seams. Perhaps a shorter offense, while it goes against the logic of his production and what Andy really likes to do, is something that will go well for them and eventually help them win those tough games. To maximize Mahomes' production without the lethal threat of Hill in 2022, just introduce a running game. Bring some guys in there that are going to get those tough yards on first and second, on third down. And that's something that the Chiefs have been missing for a while. Number 5, Matty Stafford. A Super Bowl winning quarterback from the Los Angeles Rams, 27 to 58, 1175 yards, 7 to 7 touchdown to interception ratio. Ouch. With a 93 passer rating. Completion percentage for the exercise was 46.6, and the X-Comp was 34.6 with a CPOE of plus 12%. Passing score on deep attempts, 94, and you can thank Cooper Kupp for all of those stats. Seriously, Stafford finally has a Super Bowl ring to polish, and a deep passing score worthy of his prodigious arm talent. Unlike some of the other players in these rankings, Stafford made his money in traditional fashion. No, not stock market. In the pocket. Stafford posted the highest deep pass EPA from the pocket at 45.1, which means he stood tall and did not care about the blitz. The only knock on his statistical resume, the risks he took from the same angle. 7 interceptions on deep passes from the pocket were the most in the NFL, but that's not necessarily a fatal flaw. Much of Los Angeles' transformation into the Super Bowl champion came with the acceptance of risks and how the Rams operated offensively, and they know it. And Matthew Stafford knows this. Was given plenty of leeway to let it fly. He had the tools. Cooper Kupp had the best, probably one of the better years a wide receiver's had that I've seen in quite some time, and even dating back to Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt, when they would routinely have 100 plus catch seasons. Anyway, Stafford was given plenty of. He had his hands to the controls. He could do whatever. Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham Jr., Robert Woods, even though he got injured. When you have guys like that, I guess could outweigh any mistake that you make. Anyway, with talents like Kupp at his disposal, Stafford lit it up down the seams, completing 68% of his deep slot targets, the best rate in the NFL. He led the NFL in passing EPA on such attempts by a wide margin, almost 12 points. With talent and agency to fire away, it's hard to blame Stafford for taking chances and just chucking the shit. He certainly wasn't afraid to do so, and look at everything he went through as a Detroit Lion. It's like, I can finally win now. Anyway, targeting pass catchers down the seams on 31% of his deep passes was the 7th highest rate in the NFL for 518 yards gained. His mode of operation fell right in line with General Manager Les Snead's, valuation of draft picks. There's no tomorrow, so swing it when you see it, honestly. Stafford did that well enough to earn the Rams the ultimate prize. You should probably treat Cooper Kupp to a steak dinner, too. But he could probably afford plenty of those with that new deal. Number 4, Justin Herbert, quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers. The guy's is a huge question mark. Deep attempts, he was 24 of 60, 882 yards, 8 to 4 touchdown to interception ratio. A 99.3 passer rating. For this exercise, 40% completion, and the X completion was 32.2. CPOE was plus 7.8%, and the passing score on deep attempts was 97. And he threw for over 5,000 yards this year. Then 2021, might I add. Herbert was already cemented as the Chargers franchise quarterback in just 2 professional seasons. And a lot of that is due to his ability to make the seemingly impossible look very fucking easy. Herbert is excellent at fitting passes into incredibly tight windows, as he's sharp as they come when on the move. LA has wisely used all of this to its advantage. Watching Herbert complete go for 7 of 9 on deep attempts on designed rollouts for a leading 284 yards. Those 9 such attempts led the NFL, and his 21 deep pass attempts outside the pocket were tied for the most. With our number 1 guy. He owns the 2nd highest deep play action pass EPA at 28.5 and the 4th highest passer rating on such attempts at 120. Herbert is another quarterback with a strong arm, capable of making magic downfield, standing alongside Arizona's Kyler Murray as the only 2 passers with a pass EPA north of 20 on deep attempts thrown from the outside the tackle box. But that's Kyler's game because he's shorter, so you can't really sit in the pocket at 5'7" and expect to see over linemen who are 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". He also tied for second most deep passing yards when scrambling, 223, that trailed only Kansas City Chiefs' Patrick Mahomes. When it comes to throwing deep passes, the only negative aspect of Herbert's statistical sheet is when he faces the blitz. He ranked just 25th in passing yards against extra pass rushers, highlighting Los Angeles' need to improve its situation up front. Really, especially that left guard spot. But they drafted Boston College's Zion Johnson, whom I think will eventually start over there, if not on the right side. Regardless, Herbert is special. It doesn't take a statistical expert or somebody who just puts numbers together and formulates an opinion of them. But it does help to see his talents shine in the numbers. Coach Staley is his coach on the hot seat coming into this season. I want to know what you think about that. I think if they don't make the postseason this year, I think so. I don't think they're going to be as quick to fire him. And I think he's done a decent job, and then he had a lot of say in drafting Justin Herbert back when they did. So, and I think for what it's worth, he'll stick around, but nothing after that, especially if they don't win. But if they do, it changes everything, because this is what have you done for me lately league. Number 3, Kyler Murray, quarterback for Arizona. Deep attempts, 28 of 60, 940 yards, 73 touchdown to interception ratio, and a 111.1 passer rating. Completion percentage for this exercise, 46.7, and the X-completion was 34.4. CPOE is plus 12.3, and passing score on deep attempts was 98. This 98. He earns the number 3 spot and was an incredibly tight race for the podium. He's behind Matt Ryan because of what Ryan had to overcome to compile such impressive deep passing numbers, but this is as far down the list as Murray could possibly land. The electric Murray might have finished higher had his receivers helped him less in a weird way. Of the quarterbacks on this list, no passer had a higher percentage of wide open targets on deep passes with 11.7. A number that seems small to you, but 11.7%. And your completion percentage for the exercise is at best a 46.6. That's decent. That's almost half. It's almost half of that. Let's take a moment to review what we know about him, though. He's a small but incredibly elusive quarterback with a rocket arm that helped him finish with the second highest deep passer rating against the blitz with 135.4, which is pretty good. Second highest pass EPA on such attempts, 18.9. The third most deep passing yards against the blitz, 314. And the fourth highest completion percentage over expected against the blitz, plus 14.2%. Which means if you were coming, if you want to sack this dude, you better rush 8 or something like that, and hope he doesn't float one over you. Scrambling is, of course, a massive part of his game. And it showed in next-gen stats. Murray completed 7-11 deep pass attempts when scrambling, posting the highest completion percentage among quarterbacks with 10 or more such attempts. Also, he ranked second in deep passing yards when scrambling, behind only Patrick Mahomes, and posted the highest deep pass EPA when scrambling. The only lingering question is whether Murray can do it when it matters most, or if they can make it to the postseason down the final stretch of the year. Murray's Cardinals have entered tailspin of sorts in the final month of each of the last 2 seasons. If Murray and the Cardinals are eventually able to find common ground in the contract standoff, which they have because it's $230.5 million, he's rectifies the issues that plagued him late in the season last year. I think we can see him land even higher on this list next year. Really quickly, number 2 guy was Matt Ryan, who's currently Indy's quarterback. I just have numbers for him. 2042, 718 yards, 3-1 touchdown to interception ratio, 107.7 passer rating. 47.6% for this exercise. X completion was 29.9. The CPOE was 17.8, and the passing score on deep attempts was 99. But those numbers don't reflect a 4 and 13 Atlanta Falcons squad. And the number one guy on this list is Josh Allen. Just like I was saying when I was talking about the rushers. Told you he was going to land high on this list, and here it is. Deep attempts 28 to 68, 954 yards, 5-2 touchdown to interception ratio with 100.7 passer rating. For this exercise, 41.2%. The X completion was 33.4. CPOE was plus 7.8, and the passing score on deep attempts was 99. And it's not really surprising that he's here. Second most passing yards total of all quarterbacks in 2021 and 2020. And the Bills get better noticeably every single year. I said it the other day, and I will say it again. I believe the Buffalo Bills will win a Super Bowl within the next half decade, and they keep guys like Josh Allen around, and that is definitely going to happen. So that's it for episode 397 of 42 Sports Talk. Thank you for sharing with me. It was a long one. That is the end of NFL #run. Please let me know how I did with the section in the comment section on any one of the episodes, number 390 to 397. I love you all. Wishing them health, and success.